Hello again. I'm Zane Zog. This is the Zane Zog Show. Let's see, I've been talking about two spiritual guides of my own, Malcolm X and Timothy Leary. Malcolm X was a man who was very present in what he did. I don't mean to suggest I know. I don't know what was in the heart and mind of Malcolm X or Timothy Leary. Just what I've seen on the news, speeches, video clips of Malcolm X's speeches. I was always moved by it. Frankly, the reason I'm talking about Malcolm X, I was always inspired by Malcolm X. I'm going to talk about Timothy Leary a little bit. They're two very different spiritual guides. They're not similar, they're different. Two spiritual guides, very different people. One of the reasons Timothy Leary is a spiritual guide, it has to do with an escapist philosophy. He was an advocate, supposedly, of the drug LSD. Nice stuff. I haven't used it in over 40 years. No, it's been 50 years, probably. Not quite. It's been 45 years since I last used it. LSD. I don't use it at all now. I want to talk about escapist philosophy. Timothy Leary was about a whole lot of other things, and I'm merely only using this as a sort of thought, a springboard from which to think, to speak. It's not just Leary. People all over the place have adopted escapist philosophy. Some people use heroin to escape from day-to-day stress and strains. To make LSD, one thing, it could alleviate boredom. I sort of liked this stuff. I believe it could actually expand a person's thinking, alter beliefs, alter perceptions, change the way a person thinks for the better, or worse. It both have happened. Nothing's perfect. I don't mean to be a nut. Try not to be a nut job, if possible. But no, Timothy, I wanted to talk about escapist philosophy. I still believe in it to some degree. Everybody knows this can be a problem. Malcolm X tended, just an opinion, he seemed to focus on reality. People, it's not just Timothy Leary. People who experimented with LSD may have been experimenting with their perception of the world, the way they feel, the way they think. Let's talk philosophy for a half second. Immanuel Kant was a philosopher. Edmund Husserl was a philosopher. Both dealt with the subject of presuppositionless thinking. That meant, can people think outside of a cultural context? People who used LSD were dealing with that very question. Can people form a worldview that isn't common, that is not common? The concept of the road less traveled. I've always been partial to that concept. The road less traveled. Nice idea. Reality is what it is. It's as good as it gets. It's as good as it is. But the aspect of altering reality with drugs like LSD or marijuana, alcohol maybe. I don't mean to advocate drug use. I'm talking about escapist. Someone might use no drugs at all and drop out of society. A person may drop out of society to achieve a degree of clarity, to get away from the city, the noise, the very sight of people downtown Pittsburgh. I don't mean to be cruel or mean or abusive. It can be very dispiriting to walk around downtown Pittsburgh. I don't mean to hurt anybody or be mean or bigoted. It's rather ugly downtown. People might need an escapist, I do, an escapist philosophy to free the mind. Timothy Leary was about freeing the mind of old and preconceived ideas. In a manner of thinking, Malcolm X was a guide in the way in which people think and do. Anyway, okay, free-thinking, escapist philosophy, being a seeker. That is part of the author Herman Hesse wrote books about people who were seekers. Years ago, I don't know what became of this movement. There was an author named Carlos Castaneda. I read most of his books. They were about this wizard. They were about a mystical or a type of current, let's say a trending concept of magic. Years later, there was a back to nature movement. Fuck me if I'm mispronouncing the poet John Berryman. I hope I'm not I'm old, I might be senile. He wrote a book. No, I did fuck up. I believe that the author was Robert Bly. He's a poet. Fuck me if I'm wrong. The book is called Popular Back to Nature Book. Dare I say, popular mythology book. Myth. The Odyssey's a book and a myth, an ancient myth. There's the myth of Sisyphus. There's the myth of the Weather Underground. The Manson family are a myth. A folk legend, folklore. But I got off topic. Novels are something like a mythology that people feed from and learn from. There's mythology attached to these two great leaders, Malcolm X and Timothy Leary. Free the mind. Thanks for listening. I'm Zane Zod. And that's all the crap you need from me.